Second hour kicking off right now on this Monday morning, March 23rd. Just flying on through on this Monday morning. First quarter's in the books. Second quarter tips off right now. Big thanks for hanging out with us if you're already up and at it. Well, we spent the first hour talking some hockey, women's Badger hockey team with their 9th national championship in program history. Men's team clinching a spot in the tourney as well. Speaking of tourneys, how's your brackets looking? Majority of you saying trash it on our latest post-class Amir 715 Speaks poll question. If you want to see where you're at in terms of the leaderboard and standings, you can go to sportstalk1051.com, click on that fan cave tab. And if you're not on that first page of the leaderboard, just type your name in and it'll pop up where you're at and such. So coming up, we're going to talk some Brewers here in just a skosh because we've got opening day in just a couple days. Thursday, few, however you want to describe it. But Thursday, opening day. And the Mizz is the opening day starter. What are some realistic expectations and predictions, maybe some bold predictions that you have with Jacob Mizorowski? All right. Well, I want to know. Hit me up. 715-830-1912 is a quick message, or hang out in the Section 105 YouTube chats room. We've got some local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center coming up in the 9 o'clock hour when Justice Cleveland from WEAU 13 News will be joining us. So we've got that on the docket. If you have any more VFW post 305 best and worst from the weekend, send those on over too. Coming up next hour, we'll do a little Glory Days brought to you by Summer Jam here in Eau Claire. So we also have that on the docket. But with the opening day just a few days away, let's kind of take a look at some maybe predictions and such. And, well, MLB.com, first off, just kind of taking a look at it from a major league perspective. They asked their team writers the most important thing each team learned at camp, at spring training this year. What did Adam McCulvey, who covers the Brewers, pick for the Brew Crew? He said his pick was they are going to miss Freddie Peralta. Brandon Woodruff won't be ready for opening day. Quinn Priester is sidelined for a month or so. Kyle Harrison ended the spring managing a minor blister issue, and Logan Henderson was optioned down after being slowed by a sore elbow. Mizorowski will start opening day after making only 14 starts as a rookie. The Brewers love the promise of this young group of starting pitchers and think they'll once again be among MLB's best run prevention units. But they are already missing the stability provided by Peralta in recent years. Such is life in a small market where teams are constantly turning over established talent for young players with upside. The Brewers' recent track record suggests they will make it work. So that was Adam's pick for what the Brewers learned this season. What about some of the predictions in terms of this season's stat leaders all across Major League Baseball? Is there any love for the Brewers in terms of individual stat numbers? Not really. We'll just put it that way. Not really. And there's one of them that I'm a little bit like, really? You're not going to give them any love in that category? But so breaking it down by American League and National League. So again, this is from MLB.com. Okay. So they asked, their writers and such to predict the season stat leaders. Okay. And I'm just, I guess I could go through American League and National League here, but American League, the vote, or the majority, they asked 57 MLB.com staff members to weigh in. For the American League for batting average, it was Bobby Wood Jr. Runner-up was Jacob Wilson. National League, Luis Ariz with the Giants, probably no big surprise. Runner-up, Bo Bichette with the Mets. there was no Milwaukee Brewer listed. Okay. Not even in the others receiving votes. Home runs, AL, Aaron Judge, no surprise. National League, Shohei Ohtani, no surprise. Was there any Brewers listed as others receiving votes? Yeah, no. Stolen bases, Chandler Simpson with the Rays for the AL. NL, Ellie De La Cruz. Okay. No surprise. This is where I thought maybe some Brewers should have gotten some mentions, like a Bryce Terang and such. He didn't get in the category of others receiving votes. Wasn't on there. That, to me, I disagree with. I think Terang, he may not be a league leader, but in terms of the National League, top 5. I think mark it down, pin it up, top 5. Yeah, he may have more power this year, but I think he's still going to be up there in terms of base stealing. ERA, National League, Paul Skeens, American League, was Tariq Skubal. Again, no surprise. No Brewers, again, listed in others receiving votes. Strikeouts, Garrett Groshette in the American League, Paul Skeens in the National League. Were there any Brewers? Yeah, no. Freddie Peralta, by the way, was listed in a couple of these as others receiving votes. Saves for the National League, Edwin Diaz with the Dodgers. Mason Miller was a runner-up. Others receiving votes. This one, I don't know if I agree with you either. They do have a Brewer listed on here, but I don't think they got the right Brewer. They got Trevor McGill. And I think Uribe is going to be the guy that's going to get the most saves for the Brewers this year. That's just my opinion. But those were some of those Major League predictions from MLB.com's staff. So, Brewers-wise, since we are very close to the opening day, let's take a look at Adam McCulvey's latest opening day roster, potential opening day roster. Contreras, Sanchez at catcher, no surprise. Andrew Vaughn, Jake Bauers, first base, no surprise. Bryce Terang, second base, no surprise. Joey Ortiz, shortstop, no surprise. Luis over at third, no surprise. Jackson Chirio, Garrett Mitchell, Sal Frelick, Brandon Lockridge, outfielders. Again, no surprise with Blake Perkins being starting the season off at AAA. Christian Yelich is your DH. Utilities, David Hamilton. I think those are like locked, sealed, sign it, good. Starting pitchers, The Miz, Brandon Sproat, Chad Patrick, Kyle Harrison, and Brandon Woodruff. Uribe, McGill, Koenig, Zerpa, Anderson, Aaron Ashby, DL Hall, Easton McGee as the relief pitchers. I think I think how everything's kind of worked out, transpired, it's gone through this season, or this spring training season, with some of the injuries to Priester and Craig Yoho and Rob over there. I think that's kind of worked out that way. Rob Zastrinski. Why can't I say Rob's last name? I apologize. For whatever reason, we all have these words. Mine, there's a few of them. I cannot pronounce his last name. Zastrinski. Zastrinski. Oh my, don't ask me again. I can't say it. So, but yeah, I could definitely, I don't have any qualms about that opening day roster prediction. So, but let's go back to Mizorowski. Jacob Mizorowski, what are some of the baseline, realistic expectations you have for Mizorowski this year? He's entering his first full season as a Major League Baseball starter. What do you think are some predictions, some projections, and what do you think, like, okay, this has got to be a guy, maybe more from a personal number, but also from, all right, if the team wants to do some noise this year, Mizorowski's going to have to do this, or this is the numbers that he is going to have to go out there and do. What are those predictions or baseline expectations, goals, however you want to kind of word it? We're going to go through some of the projections that are out there in the analytics world and such. And we'll kind of see, do we agree with it? Do you think that's accurate? Et cetera, et cetera. So we'll go through that, but then let's come up with our own, okay? So give me your analysis. Give me your expertise. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll drop into that conversation while I work on pronouncing Rob's last name correctly. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back after these quick words. Hunting season will be here before you know it, and that preparation starts right now, people. At Tilden Gun, they know serious hunters don't wait until opening day to get ready. Whether you are gearing up for the upcoming spring turkey season or maybe planning ahead for fall, now's the time to make sure that your equipment is dialed in. From shotguns and rifles to optics, ammunition, and must-have accessories, Tilden Gun has the selection and expertise to help you step into the woods with confidence. Maybe it's time to upgrade your setup. Maybe it's time to set in that new optic, or maybe you're just stocking up so you're not scrambling later. Hey, turkey season demands precision, patience, and preparation. So stop on in to Tilden Gun and talk with the people who understand the hunt, because you know what? They live it too. Tilden Gun. Get ready now so that you're ready when it matters the most. All right. I think I've got it. Rob Zastrizny. Boom. Nailed it. Practice makes perfect. Anyways, moving on to a different Brewers pitcher here. So, Mizz. All right, we're talking a little bit about Mizz because we are just a few days away from opening day, and he is the opening day starter. This is his first full season, part of the Brewers pitching's rotation. Last year, I call it the EKG type of season for him. Comes in, boom, on fire, high expectations, lives up to it, all-star, bada bing, bada boom, falls off a little bit dinged up. Comes back into the postseason out of the pen, boom, was awesome. And now he is a huge part of this team. And if the Brewers are going to win the division again, get back to the postseason, he has got to be a big reason that the Brewers are able to do that. I think that's fair to throw out there, right? Fair to assess. Fair to label on him. So, what is a realistic baseline expectation for him this year? And he's still young, and it's entering his first full season. Well, this is just a couple of projections for Jacob Mizz that are out there. Now, these are just projections, okay? I've got Fangraphs, I've got Baseball Reference, and I've got the Pacoda ones, okay? So, Baseball Reference. They've got Jacob Mizz with a 6-5 overall record, a 4.05 ERA, 91 innings pitched. So that's it. Not hitting the 100 mark for innings pitched. And I know projections tend to maybe go a little bit on the lower side of things here. Fangraphs for 2026, okay, projection. They've got him with 135 innings pitched and a 3.99 ERA. Now, they've got games started 24, games pitched 32. They don't have a win-loss record on here, which I'm okay with because, again, I think the win-loss record for starting pitchers and pitchers overall now is dampered a little bit and such. But looking at innings pitched, 135, much higher than what Baseball Reference has. ERA, 3.99, a little bit lower than what Baseball Reference has. What about Pacoda? What about the Pacoda rankings here when it comes to Jacob Mizz? they're a little bit, they were a little bit lower for the Mizz, too. They've got him at 124 innings pitched. Starter 2, you're looking at about, they broke it down to, and the other thing here is they've still got Brandon Woodruff pitching 126, 124 for Mizz, 137 for Chad Patrick. But Mizz is at about 4.8 innings per pitched. So you're seeing a little bit of a theme here, right? You're seeing some commonality with this one. So you're about a 4. You're about, let's say, 100 to 135. Pagoda's kind of split a little bit more towards the higher end of innings pitched and such. But overall, to me, the Baseball Reference innings pitched at what was it again? Let me bring it up here. 91. That is really low. And I think if outside of injuries, outside of major injuries or anything like that, I would think that's on the low side, and I'd be disappointed in that. Again, not assuming that there's any injuries. And we're talking about maybe, well, it's on the low side because of performance and play and such. So that one to me is pretty darn low. I want to at least see. I like that 135. Now, I don't think I want to, I'm not going to throw out a baseline expectation of like, okay, that dude's got to go out there and throw 200 innings. I'm not going to do that right away for his first full-on season because I think there's still a little bit of maybe some unknown surrounding him. Because I think we're still kind of holding our breath as maybe fans. Say, hey, don't blow out that elbow. Don't blow out that elbow, please. I think that's just kind of the assumption that at some point it's going to happen. Hate to think that way, but it kind of feels like that with starting pitchers and Major League Baseball, or pitchers in Major League Baseball, especially dudes who throw triple digits like Jacob Mizorowski. But, I'm looking maybe – I'm going to go on the higher end. I say 130-some innings this year. I say an ERA. I'd like it to be sub-4. Now, it'd be awesome if he could have like a 2, like Paul Skeens throws out there and such. But I think 4 would be disappointing if we just kind of look at the ERA. I mean, I'd like a 3.5 at worst almost. If he could keep 3.5, low 3s, I think that's a huge win. And, you look at some of the other projections surrounding Jacob Mizorowski, and his name has been thrown out there as like, okay, maybe he's the next closest guy to have like that Paul Skeens rise, right? A young pitcher that comes in, throws hard, is almost unhittable, to go from like a rookie of the year to a Cy Young candidate. Who's the next pitcher that could potentially do that? Go from like rookie of the year candidate to a Cy Young winner. Mizorowski's name is a popular one out there, and it makes sense why Mizorowski's name would be thrown out there. I think the biggest thing that I would like to see from Mizorowski this year is just, again, the consistency. We know he throws hard. We know he can be a dominant pitcher. But can he have the consistency? Can he get that slider? Like, we know he throws an amazing fastball, but if he can really command his slider, and when that thing was on last year, you're throwing like a mid-90s slider, that's when he was like at his peak, when he was just out there dominating and making some batters look silly. Yeah, the high heats. Yeah, going, touching 99, 100, 101. Chicks dig the long ball, but, throwing some major heat, too, is pretty darn impressive. That's what gets fans excited. But then if you mix in that mid-90s slider with that thing, woo, that's when he becomes kind of unhittable. But can he command that? Can he have the consistency with that? And, yeah, he could be a little bit of a fireballer at times and a little bit erratic. And that's where it's like, can he – and not every pitcher is going to be perfect. Not every pitcher is going to be – every start, they're going to have their ups and downs. It's just not going to be their day. Or they just can't get that command or that control. It happens to every pitcher. But the great ones, the good ones, those become few far in between. And if Mizz can take that next step where, all right, where it's almost rare for him to have those off days, that's the next step. Can he do that this year, though? Or is that going to be, maybe a next year sort of thing or whatever it is? But take these steps. 1, be more consistent. Limit those erratic type of games. 2, if he can get that slider, command-wise, where that's like his next up pitch where, you're blowing it by the guy, then you throw in that slider, boom, become unhittable that way. And I think a big key in this whole thing, and we saw it at points last year too, is having a guy like Contreras behind the dish to manage a lot of these younger pitchers. I think is just it's a value that doesn't get appreciated or recognized as much as it probably should. The Brewers are counting on a lot of these young guys to lead this group and to lead them back to the postseason. That is Mizz. That is Patrick. That is Sproat. That is Harrison. And, the one guy that really has to work with them and really kind of has to manage them on the field is Contreras. So he is I think, a huge key to the overall success of this pitching unit, the starting staff, or even the bullpen, that sometimes – and it's everybody, but it's sometimes we just kind of take it maybe for granted, or we don't pay much attention to. But having a guy like Contreras behind the dish for a Mizz, because we saw it last year at points where maybe the Mizz was getting a little bit inside his head, and maybe it was affecting his pitching. And then you saw Contreras over there, kind of handling it, trying to get him to calm down, dial it in a little bit more. Heck, Contreras was doing that with guys like Freddie Peralta and such. So it doesn't, to have that type of leader behind home plate, managing your pitching staff, I think is a huge, huge, huge bonus. Obviously, we know the Brewers do very well with pitchers, with Chris Hook and Henderson leading the charge with the coaching side of things. But having a guy like Contreras, and then, even your backup catcher is a veteran, Gary Sanchez, who's been around the block for a while. That's a huge bonus to have 2 veterans helping manage some of these younger pitchers. But I think, for me, for Mizz, for a baseline expectation, baseline goal and such, I think, again, wins, losses, I don't really want to put, like, oh, the dude's got to have 10 wins this year. Because, for crying out loud, Paul Skeens like 500 last year. It's not his fault. So I kind of don't want to put a number on wins, losses, because I don't think that tells you the whole story anymore. But I think, let's get an ERA in the 3s. Let's get some innings pitched, $135 at minimum. And just the one metric that you can't really analyze and such, let's see how that slider goes. Can you command that slider at a high level this year and just have more consistency, and more times than not, when he's out there, you're feeling good. He's going to come away with a win. He's going to be pitching at a high level. The consistency overall from him. That's kind of what I want. And you can't really put a number on that or a projection stat on that. But there's no question. The Brewers want to do something this year. They want to get back to the postseason. They want to repeat as champs. A big part of that is going to be dependent on the play of Jacob Mizorowski. If he's hurt or he's just not pitching well this year, it might be a little bit of a tougher road. All right. We got to take a quick break. Send me some more picks or send me your Mount Rushmore of Wisconsin coaches. Best Wisconsin coaches of all time, Division I up to the pros. All right? Because I want to see who gets mentioned the most. And based off of you, the listener, you, the voters, whoever gets mentioned the most, the top 4 will be named to the Sports Talk 105.1 Wisconsin Sports Coaching Mount Rushmore. We're looking at from Division I to the pros. Okay? So there's not a right or wrong answer. I want your picks. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back with plenty more coming up after these quick words. Looking for reliable auto service right here in the Chippewa Valley? Hey, you've got a couple options, and both of them are at AJM Automotive. Both of them? Yeah, both of them, because they've got 2 convenient locations in Eau Claire. AJM Automotive makes it easy to get the care that your vehicle deserves, whether it's routine maintenance, maybe some brake work, engine repairs, or you need a new set of tires. Friendly experts, honest advice, quality service that gets you back on the road safely. And don't forget, too, AJM Automotive does some small engine work. So thanks spring, thanks summer. Maybe get those lawnmowers ready to go. So friendly experts, honest advice, quality service that gets you back on the road safely. Check them out online, ajmautomotiveservices.com. And don't forget to follow their Facebook page as well. We got Surveyor finally chiming in with his Mount Rushmore for Wisconsin picks. Mark Johnson, not even close. Vince Lombardi, Curly Lambeau, and Kelly Sheffield. I was wondering if anybody was going to pick both Lambeau and Sheffield, and Surveyor comes in with both of them. Says, I know I left off Barry, but I think he did more as athletic director than as coach. John says Lombardi, Barry Alvarez, Mark Johnson, and Bo Ryan. So I can tell you right now that the top 2 that are probably going to easily move on into our Sports Talk 105.1 Wisconsin Sports Coaching Mount Rushmore is probably Lombardi and Mark Johnson. We've got Mike, though, going Lombardi, Alvarez, Bo Ryan, and Holmgren. So no Mark Johnson on there. Give Murphy a few more years, and I feel it changes. So, all right. How about the rest of you? Keep them coming because I'm going to tabulate them. So, honestly, right now, a lot of you, besides one now, have had both Lombardi and Mark Johnson in it. Lombardi now is the number 1 vote getter. Mark Johnson is a close second. And then I would say probably Bo Ryan maybe getting third. I think it's too close to call at this point in time for the 3rd and 4th spots. I think it's too close to call. So I'm doing my picks 1 per hour. My first hour, I had Mark Johnson on mine. I mean, you're looking at 9 national championships for crying out loud. I mean, that's you're talking like, you're comparing that to like a UConn run with girls basketball, women's basketball. You're talking about like a Pat Summitt run at Tennessee. You're talking like an Alabama football type of run and such. 9 national champ, 9 times. Mark Johnson was my first pick. Might as well just say my second one is Vince Lombardi because I don't need to make the case for that. There you go. All right. So, of the 4 spots on that Mount Rushmore for me, I've got Mark Johnson's face. I've got Vince Lombardi's face. The next 2, 3rd one, dropping the next hour. 4th one, I'll drop in the final hour too. But these are just my picks. My picks don't count towards your votes. You are the only ones who will get to decide the Sports Talk 105.1 Mount Rushmore of Wisconsin sports coaches of all time. And again, if you're just joining in, we are just looking for Division I on up to the pros. Just trying to narrow that field down. It's no disrespect to high school Division III or anything like that. We're just kind of narrowing it down to Division I and up to the pros for argument's sake for this morning. So continue to send me those via the Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or you can hit us up on the Section 105 video chat on YouTube. Going back to some more messages here with the Jacob Mizorowski chat that we just had. Projections. We've got Ben saying $1.30 for innings, 3.5 ERA, and double-digit wins. Another texter says, don't have a name, but says 150 innings, double-digit wins, 3 ERA. Nothing higher than a 3.5. All right. Keep sending those on over, too. We'll get back. We got plenty more Brewers chat. Start to think about, I'll just give you kind of an early heads up here, but start thinking about some season predictions for the Brewers coming up here. All right. With opening day right around the corner on Thursday. Start to think about your not only Brewers predictions, but Major League Baseball predictions. Division winners, who you got going in the World Series, MVPs, all that good stuff, okay? So start to think about that for a little bit. We're not going to hit that up today, but that's kind of some early homework assignments, so put it in your assignment book and all that. But Brewers just have a couple of spring training games left, and then we're rocking and rolling for Thursday. Anybody going opening day, by the way? Anybody taking a day off maybe and heading down to Milwaukee for a little opening day? I was looking, okay, so is this could possibly, where's MLB.com rank their top 10 pitching staffs? Okay, so the Brewers come in at number 8. Maybe some interesting names ahead of them. So this was MLB.com ranking the top 10 pitching staffs in baseball. Number 1 is the Dodgers. Number 2 is the Mariners. Now, this is like starters and bench, it looks like. Number 3 is the Phillies. 4 is the Red Sox. 5 is the Tigers. 6, Pirates. Obviously led by Paul Skeens. Got Mitch Keller. Got Bubba. Got Braxton Ashcraft. Jared Jones. Oh, okay. Brewers do come in at number 8. Says, when assessing the Brewers pitching staff, we must weigh the departure of Freddie Peralta in trade against the knowledge that no matter who departs this team, it always seems to find a way to keep opponents from crossing home plate. Though Woodruff dealt with a lat issue and Priester a wrist issue in camp, they still confront what ought to be a strong rotation even without Peralta. You've got the Mizz Kid. All right, so anybody who doesn't like the Miz as a nickname, do you like the Mizz Kid? That's the first time I think I've seen that, the Mizz Kid. Mizorowski entering his first full season, and young Logan Henderson is widely touted as a breakout candidate. The bullpen, which was one of the best in Major League Baseball last year and has added ground ball machine Zerpa, projects as a top 5 unit going into 2026. Really, it's not about individual names, but the collective whole of a club that routinely develops quality pitching internally or identifies it externally. And being backed by an elite defense sure doesn't hurt either, so the Brew Crew belongs somewhere in the top 10. This might be a AGM Automotive Pump the Brakes Full Throttle question for Friday, but Pump the Brakes Full Throttle, is it fair to say that the Brewers bullpen right now, at least on paper, you have more confidence in, or it could be better than the starting pitching staff? Possibly. I don't know. I think you can make a case for that. All right. We'll take a quick break, and then we're wrapping up the second quarter, and we're already at halftime here on this Monday morning. So stick around. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Pain doesn't have to slow you down at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Their experienced team is focused on getting you back to doing what you love, whether that's competing on the field or staying active or simply moving without discomfort. From joint pain and sports injuries to advanced surgical and non-surgical treatments, they provide personalized care designed around you. Local experts, advanced techniques, real results. If pain is holding you back, take the next step towards recovery. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, helping you move better every single day. We got about 7 minutes left to the top of the hour. Then we have hit halftime here this morning. So coming up next hour, we'll do a little Glory Days brought to you by Summer Jam here in Eau Claire. Again, Glory Days, kind of taking a look at something, the phrase like, well, back in the glory days of that sort of thing. Just kind of going down a little bit of memory lane, if you will. So we'll hit that up coming up next hour. We'll get back to some hockey, some hoops chat and such. But how's your brackets looking? You feeling good, or are you ready to trash it? Let me take a look at the updated poll here. Our post-class Amir 715 speaks poll question. 66% of you who voted on our poll question from late last night into this morning so far saying, trash it. You're done. You're ready to throw it away. I'm feeling good, guy. I know I'm not on the first page of the leaderboard of our sports talk bracket challenge, but I've got my Final Four still intact. I've got my national champion still intact. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good right now. So, plenty of tourney time left to go here. But, we'll get back to that coming up next hour. We've got our Carpet City Flooring Center local sports roundup. Justice Cleveland, WEAU 13 News will be hopping on in the 9 o'clock hour. So we'll let the experts break it all down for us. I know we had the conclusion of the state high school boys basketball tournament this past weekend. Your state champions are Wisconsin Lutheran, Whitefish Bay, Racine St. Catharines, Milwaukee Juneau, and Reedsville, all your champs. So kind of on to some spring sports and such. So take an early look at that. We've got some blue gold stuff to kind of take a look at here as well. We got a little bit of a transition type of year. So, but we'll get to that in the 9 o'clock hour. Bucks-wise, they're not out of it yet, mathematically. They are in action tonight. It's going to be a late one, so if you're still following along and maybe hoping that they can go on a little bit of a run here, but the Bucks taking on the Clippers tonight, 9:30 time. Bucks did get a nice win against the Suns after a horrible loss to the Jazz, picking up a 108-105 victory over the Suns, but they're going up against the Clippers tonight. Bucks 29-41 so far on the season. When you look at where they're at in the standings, Bucks and Bulls tied right now. Bucks. They're the 11th seed, if you will, at this point. They're 29-41. Chicago's 28-42. But Charlotte, who just still won't lose. They're riding a 3-game winning streak right now. Bucks, they're time is not their friend right now. We'll just put it that way. All right, because currently where things stand, the Hornets are 7.5 games ahead of the Bucks. So they're not mathematically eliminated yet. You can say you're telling me there's a chance. Possibly, I guess, but that's about it. In the East, the Detroit Pistons have clinched a playoff spot. That is the only team so far that has clinched a playoff berth in the Eastern Conference. But it is really, really close to where we know the top 10 because of just the Bucks and the Bulls being the only two teams on the outside of the top 10 that haven't been mathematically eliminated yet, but they're close. It's going to be close here. On the Western Conference side of things, two teams have clinched playoff spots. That's OKC and that is San Antonio. Three teams who are currently on the outside of the top 10 have not been mathematically eliminated yet, but it's kind of in a similar fashion. It's getting close. But Pelicans, Memphis, and Dallas still not officially eliminated, but Dallas is 10 games behind Golden State, who is on into that final playoff spot right now. So, I mean, we're getting down to the wire here, right? I mean, you look at it, Bucks, 12 games left to go here. Okay, the final dozen. And they're, what would we say, 7.5 back? So they kind of almost have to win out, and they still, that's like the best. Can you win 12 in a row somehow? And can the Hornets, lose 8 or something like that? Oof. Man, it's just, it's not in the cards for the Bucks this year. So, but in case you're still following, tonight, 9:30, but they never start on time for some reason. It'll be probably like 9:40, 9:42 tip time for tonight. All right, shot clock's going to cut me off, so we're going to be at halftime here, peeps. Plenty more hockey talk, plenty more hoops talk, plenty more baseball talk coming your way in the final 2 hours. Continue to send me your Mount Rushmores of the best Wisconsin sports head coaches. Again, going to keep throwing this out there because I'm still getting other, lower than D1s. We're just looking at D1 through the pros, okay? Division I up into the pros, and they've had to have coached at Wisconsin either in Division I while they were in Wisconsin or in the pros while they were in Wisconsin, okay? So send those on over because